Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing all right out there this morning and having yourselves a great start to your Tuesday and a great work week out there so far. Got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today, as today will kind of be the beginning stages of this potential historic winter storm for areas of the country. So we're going to break it down for you guys. We're not going to get as detailed as last night's video. I went very, very detailed with you guys. Spent a pretty long time on that video trying to pull it all together for you guys, but we'll try to do that again tonight, but I doubt it'll be as crazy detailed as the video last night. I was kind of surprised that the video didn't do quite as well as I thought, but I think it's just because most of the people who watch my channel are from the southeast, are probably kind of sick and tired of hearing about snow for areas further north. But it's also a good thing because I've definitely picked up some audience from people from the north. So for you folks, listening in from the north central U.S., the northern plains, the upper Midwest, I really appreciate you guys tuning into my channel, all the nice comments you have said. I've not seen one rude comment. I haven't seen really one rude comment in quite some time. So it's been really nice and refreshing reading the comments every morning and evening for sure. So thank y'all for the amazing support. We're going to try to figure this out for you guys. It's still going to be a detailed video. We're going to give you some updated information. There is some changes. The HRRR model shows kind of a different scenario than maybe some of these global models, some shift with the storm track. So we'll talk about that. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Let's take a look at watches, warnings, advisories, things like that. Blizzard warnings now up, and it just dawned on me that I did not pull the wind speed maps up, so I'm going to have to do that on the fly for you folks, especially in the blizzard warning areas. But blizzard warnings for many counties in basically all of eastern South Dakota, and then areas of western to southwestern areas of Minnesota. This does not include the Twin Cities region, but you guys might get upgraded to I wouldn't say it's kind of a lateral move from a winter storm warning to a blizzard warning, because the snowfall doesn't increase just because you have a blizzard warning. It's really the wind criteria is that really drives a winter storm warning or just a blizzard warning. So winter storm warnings are now extended into areas of western Wisconsin where confidence is now pretty much highly increased that we are going to have a major winter storm. And then winter storm watches for most of Michigan, especially the areas south of the UP of Michigan, all have winter storm watches. But we got to watch the southern extents. Does the ice get shifted a little bit further north? There's a possibility of that. I'll talk about that in this video. For you folks that were expecting a lot of snow, maybe the ice mixes in a little bit more, but that's not set in stone. I want to see some model runs today, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Winter storm warnings up. Basically, if you're in the pink, I know not everybody knows exactly where their county is on the map. I feel like you should, but not everybody does. But a lot of these counties, they all kind of look the same as far as the shape out here, especially once you get into the south central U.S. down here. But anyways, big storm moving in. Warnings are up. Winter storm watch is up ahead of this system also for the interior northeast. Water vapor loop, we have showed this many times, but I'll show it to you one more time for you guys. You see this spinning thing? I know you think, well, Mitch, you've been saying it's going to move for an eternity now. Well, it is starting to get that push south, or it's back about this piece of energy is about to eject across the southwest and then over the plains and then eventually into the Midwest, where basically the storm track is setting up, big time ridging, setting up to the south, where you guys will get widespread mid to upper 80s in Texas today. That heat will begin to move to the southeast, but you guys in the southeast will be warm today too. We will get into close to 80 degrees for certain areas. But basically, this is where a boundary is setting up, and this is kind of where that storm track is going to take. And then there'll be a secondary system that kind of takes more so this route and then kind of goes like this. So obviously that second system is going to be more of a warmer system, but that second system is really what delivers a big wave. Really, technically, you would call it a third wave of frozen precipitation for areas like Minneapolis and northern Wisconsin. But the upper trough right here is going to swing in. It's going to pick up this energy you see. Sling it across here is going to be a boundary right into here. Cold air up top. Winter storm up here. So I know I've explained that multiple times in the video. Some people probably saying yada, yada, yada. We know, Mitch, just show me the goodies. I don't blame you there. But Storm Prediction Center, There's going to be a little bit of a risk for some severe storms south and southwest of Oklahoma City today. Wichita Falls into areas of northern Texas. But what's an interesting little feature today is this marginal risk right here in eastern Pennsylvania, areas of western New Jersey, and a very small section of Maryland. Watch out. There could be some spinning storms for a period of time this afternoon just west of New York City. It's interesting. Something called a NATOcast, which is an experimental thing that someone created, has an area highlighted that you need to watch out for some rotating thunderstorms up here in the Northeast today. So I'll show you what I mean here on the HRRR model. But dealing with some shower activity in North Carolina, we'll talk about the Southeast really quick. Some storm activity here in Alabama and areas of western Alabama and central Mississippi. These will continue and kind of drift into Georgia, kind of get broken up, and just will be some shower activity. It'll be kind of warm, moist out there getting into this afternoon. Some showers possible from Mississippi all the way through Alabama, Georgia, and then southern sections of South Carolina. Cannot rule it out at all. Not a washout by any means, but even as we get into this evening, maybe an area of showers overnight tonight to move out of North Georgia into South Carolina, and then eventually into the eastern areas of North Carolina. You might wake up in central to eastern North Carolina tomorrow morning, might wake up to some shower activity. And here comes our next system. Severe weather is kind of weird. We'll talk about here in a minute. It went way north, and there's now a slight risk, but just mainly for damaging winds. But this morning, you're waking up in southern New England to a period of snow. The last report I saw around the Boston area was you had a kind of a rain-snow mix, but this will drop a coating to as much as 2 inches of snow after it's all said and done. This will continue to head on off the coast of the Northeast and move out. Behind it, a surge of warm air will kind of surge northward. This will create some dynamics for some severe weather. So this is what I'm talking about. You're getting into about 1 to 4 p.m. this afternoon. Some storms might develop here in areas of, eastern Pennsylvania. And then in Maryland, down here in Maryland, they might drift into northern and central sections of Delaware. And then eventually it's in New Jersey. You got to watch out. These cells could produce. I would not be surprised one bit if these produce some small hail, maybe a chance for some damaging winds, maybe a quick spin up. So watch these storms down here, okay? And then it'll be interesting. You might have some almost convective burst of snow in the higher elevations of New York State. With some cold air kind of by nearby, but this little area of kind of convective showers will be interesting in the interior Northeast today, and then they'll be cold enough in Vermont, New Hampshire. Well, this will just be a quick 1 to 3 hour period of maybe moderate to heavy snow through Vermont and New Hampshire, but this is nothing compared to what's going to come. This will eventually drift into Maine later this evening into the overnight hours, and then the real system is knocking on your doorstep down here. And we'll talk about that here in a second. South Central U.S., not a whole lot today, but as we're getting into the late evening hours, showers will begin to enter the panhandle and western areas of Texas, and then eventually into Oklahoma into like the wee hours of the morning and tomorrow morning. And then we'll get into tomorrow morning. And then this is when here in Oklahoma, even in Nebraska, North Texas, an area of consolidated showers and storms will develop. And I really think as these kind of continue to move into tomorrow, these will develop into an intense line of storms. And that's why you have a slight risk for tomorrow. We'll talk about that here in a second. But this is getting into tomorrow, not today. But watch out for a severe line of storms working its way through Arkansas, like the Ozarks, southern Missouri especially. We'll watch out for these storms. They will produce some damaging winds right here, probably sometime tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. So today up in the north central U.S., a lot to talk about here. Your first of many rounds of winter weather will move in. We'll start it off Tuesday morning, and for you folks in like Montana, Wyoming, I'm going to talk about you guys too, so hold up 1 second. We're working kind of east to west, which doesn't make sense because weather goes west to east, but here we are. Moving into later this morning, snow will become more widespread, kind of in western North Dakota. And then you'll have an area of snow that really begins to get going here in areas of eastern South Dakota. And this will just kind of be a consolidated band, not huge compared to what we're about to see. This will stretch sometime probably around 2 to 3, 4 p.m. this afternoon from, the eastern Dakotas all the way through central and south central sections and southeastern areas of Minnesota. I think this band will rock right through Minneapolis, probably right after lunchtime. This will be an abrupt start to the system, and this will deliver a couple inches of snow. Could get quite heavy as we get into this evening. By the time we get to about 8, 9 p.m., the snow begins to move into the Duluth area, and then areas of the UP, the western UP of Michigan. It's overspreading the whole entire northern 2/3 of Wisconsin at this point. Is it going to, when does it make it into Milwaukee? I think it'll eventually will later tonight. Some ice already showing up. A little bit of ice with this low pressure kind of riding close by. Some ice beginning to show up with that warm nose here in areas of eastern South Dakota. A little bit of a glaze possible. But as we're getting into the overnight hours, a period of really heavy snow I think will set up here in south central sections where Minneapolis is and Minnesota. And it's snowing pretty good. Moderate to heavy snow, basically the northern half of Wisconsin overnight tonight. And the snow will continue to kind of pivot into northern Michigan, and then just kind of not a stationary band, but it's kind of pivoting almost stationary and staying in the same area. So, and then the lull comes behind this, and we'll talk about this here in a second. And then the next system begins to get beefed up. But this area of snow over the next 24 hours between now and tomorrow morning will deliver several inches of snow. In fact, we'll look at it, and this is the snow, and we'll get a little bit further west too. So hang tight with me here for a second. But this is snow between everything that's falling between now and the next 24 hours. I mean, Minneapolis, right into here, half a foot of snow will probably fall. Anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of snow will fall from this first area of snow. And this is just the beginning. Look at Wisconsin. Anywhere I would favor more so these areas of western Wisconsin, but a lot of snow. UP of Michigan, a few inches of snow. Lake enhancement possible off the south end of the shores of Lake Superior. But, it'll still be snowing here in Michigan. But this first round later tonight could deliver a few, maybe several inches of snow for northern Michigan. But this will drop a quick and heavy. I mean, like I said, 6 to 8 inches of snow for these areas right here in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Over a half a foot of snow just from the pre-event, I would say. Move a little bit further west. This includes Montana, Wyoming, areas of Colorado, Nebraska, the Dakotas. And here's another way to look at this here off Weather Bell. First area of snow moves on off. Okay, we just kind of talked about that. There's going to be a little corridor of freeze and rain later this evening, probably in areas of central and eastern areas of South Dakota. But look how heavy it's snowing this evening for most of the state of Wyoming. Where it will be snowing, it'll probably be snowing pretty heavily. It's snowing pretty heavy down here in Salt Lake City, it looks like. Somebody said to mention Utah. I'll show you guys, I'll try to show you guys as much love as possible. If I was to mention every state, in depth that with this, that this system is impacted, these videos will go 40, 45 minutes long, guys, and that's very hard to do. Obviously, when I got the full-time job and the family right in front of me, when I'm trying to efficiently do these videos as quick as possible, but at the same time, give you guys some detailed information. But we're getting into the overnight hours, midnight range, pouring snow in central and southern areas of Wyoming. This is when the snow begins to really pick up. This is the energy from the second system that's going to really rock areas of the upper Midwest like Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Green Bay, places like that. But this is the beginning stages, the origins of it. Heavy snow begins to fall overnight in areas of northwest Nebraska and really becomes widespread as we're waking up tomorrow morning. So this is what it looks like as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Some heavy snow just north of Denver, but I think this will blast through areas of Denver as we get into tomorrow morning. But it's snowing kind of light to moderate South Dakota, but this is getting amped up to be another round. So snow just between now and the next 24 hours. I think most of this in Wyoming will fall in the last 12 hours of this 24-hour period, so this PM. But it just depends on where you are. That's why I don't cover the West that much, because there's a lot of microclimates out here. Lower elevations, probably lower snow. Higher elevations, over a foot. But I really think this area up here in northwest Montana, kind of the plains, flatter areas, the hills, I certainly think with this, most of this is going to fall probably this morning. It's already falling right now. So between now and the next 24 hours, of the duration of this event over the next 24 hours, several inches of snow is possible in this swath of snow right here. And then it starts. It's in the beginning stages of snowing here and Grand Rapids, things like that. But blizzard conditions will begin to develop. In fact, we'll look at the HRRR model really quickly for you folks out here, and I'm just going to focus really on the next 24 hours. We'll go to the the 06Z here, and it's already ripping here in areas of southern and southeast sections of Wyoming, but it really picks up, I think, later on. And we'll stop it right here as we're kind of getting into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning. You got 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust here in the eastern half of South Dakota and southeast areas of North Dakota. And look at these strong winds in Nebraska. So there's going to be blizzard conditions, but I think it'll really crank you up tomorrow. So this was kind of around this time tomorrow morning for eastern South Dakota. And you got 40 to almost 50 mile per hour wind gusts starting to inch into areas of Minnesota also where you have blizzard warnings. So 30, 40, 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts beginning to enter the area as the storm really cranks up into southwest sections of Minnesota. Temperatures today, man, check this out. I mean, it's cold up here where it's supposed to be cold, but look ahead of this storm and areas of kind of South Dakota. It's going to rise into the 50s, maybe even 60 degrees in areas of southern South Dakota and southwest South Dakota. And then quickly behind it, cold air will trail in, and you'll go from the 50s and maybe low 60s to a winter storm over the next 24 hours. Warm ahead of this storm in the Ohio Valley, but you guys aren't really going to get winter weather from this, even above average. I would say comparable to average up here in the Northeast, but it is insanely warm in the deep south, and just as this is just the beginning, mid to upper 80s in Dallas, just ridiculous heat, and it's just going to continue to get hotter this week. It's pretty wild, widespread 70s all the way up into Virginia, and then kind of right in the middle of this is just kind of typical late February conditions, but still above average. So pretty wild to see. We'll give you an update on the storm system, guys, really quickly. Slight risk of severe storms now up for tomorrow. It's wild. We were circling this area a couple days ago. This has shifted north, and I think it's just because the track of this low pressure has shifted north. But tornado threat, there is a 2% risk in this huge area right in here. Okay, pause the screen if you need to. But the wind threat, I think, will be the biggest threat. 15% risk to see damaging winds within 25 miles in any given location. That's 50 to 60 mile per hour winds here in this 15% risk area. So, like I said, I do think there is going to be a line of storms that develops here later tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. We'll look at the system as a whole and how this develops past the 24-hour period. So we'll crank this up starting tomorrow morning, and we'll continue this. And this is how the HRRR model has it unfolding for the central U.S. So we'll stop this is about tomorrow afternoon. Look at the storms ripping through these areas of Missouri. Heavy rain up here in St. Louis. A lot of just heavy rain. This kind of blasts through. I think you could have a nasty line of storms that really moves through southern sections of Illinois and also Indiana. But here comes the first round. It quickly develops. Look at this heavy snow in southern and south central areas of Minnesota. Still snowing lightly back here in South Dakota. But what's interesting to me is this freezing rain line, which on Weather Bell is in the pink, is pretty far north. I mean, it has all rain for southern sections of Michigan now. This is just the HRRR model, so it's going to be interesting. To me, that's a sign that the low pressure is trending farther north. So the mixing line is getting close to Green Bay now. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but based off the HRRR model, we got to watch the next couple long-range HRRR model runs, see what it shows. But regardless, I think a lot of areas are going to stay snow, but you could start to have mixing issues, and that freezing rain line might start jogging north. But we got to see. This is the entire duration of the event. Well, it only goes actually out 48 hours, but an all-out winter storm in Wisconsin, UP, and Michigan. This would bring central and northern Michigan into just a mixed bag of precipitation. And then another low pressure begins to develop. This will bring a last push of snow Thursday into Thursday p.m. That could be quite heavy for areas of the eastern Dakotas and then Minnesota and even areas of Iowa and then also Wisconsin, the UP, and Michigan. But this is going to be a lot of heavy snow. This is just the next 48 hours. Okay, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I'm already seeing some changes. Snow for the duration of the event now predicted from the National Weather Service. Here it is. South Dakota, good for widespread 10 to 14-inch snowfall totals. This is Wyoming, widespread. If you're not just higher elevations, certainly going to get over 8 to 12 inches of snow. Northern Nebraska, 8 to 12 inches of snow right in the middle. Anywhere from 3 to 8 inches of snow. It's tough. Down to Omaha, not expecting much. Freezing rain is kind of sneaky light becoming an issue here in areas of South Dakota. Maybe a glaze is possible. We'll watch for that. Move a little bit further east. Minneapolis still predicting over 22, 23, 24 inches of snow. There's a bullseye right here in areas of kind of eastern areas of south central Minnesota and western areas of kind of north central Wisconsin, if that makes any sense. But bullseye of snow setting up right into here. So this will be one of your biggest snowstorms on record. I don't think it'll be the biggest on record, but I think it'll be one of the biggest. Freezing rain, it's inching north, even off the latest, National Weather Service forecast. Now in Iowa, especially northeast Iowa, now you're having, ice totals reaching over a quarter inch of ice. So I think you're going to have some gross ice conditions in Iowa. Central, north central, and northeast areas of Iowa really is going to get hit hard with some nasty ice. And then I think southern areas of Wisconsin. If this continues to track north, I think that maybe you guys in far northern Illinois can get out the ice. But I do think central, south central sections of Michigan is good for you. I wouldn't use the word crippling yet, but a pretty nasty ice storm for you folks in those regions of Michigan. We'll zone in a little bit closer. Remember, I do have soccer practice tonight. I'm coaching for my soccer team, so it's going to be a little bit later. But going to certainly try to figure it out for you guys. We'll look at the latest HRRR model for the Northeast, and a weird event, but it shows Buffalo to Binghamton all rain now. It might start off as some quick winter weather, but now for you folks, the HRRR model is saying nada on any frozen precipitation from Buffalo to Binghamton, basically southern sections of New York State, just rain. And then all heavy snow to the north. And, I was mentioning the front end thumping of snow for Boston. The HRRR model says, hey, you might get it for maybe an hour, but that's about it. And then this is kind of the frontogenesis band that will kind of blast through these areas, and then there'll be a dry slot feature that sets up here before another round moves in. But it'll be interesting. Someone's going to get dry slotted up here, especially with the low pressure that could be tracking further north, especially for the Northeast. It's the last frame. I mean, look at you areas to the south. Some of these global models might have led people on a little bit too much for these sections of southern New England, but the HRRR model could be wrong. It's going to be interesting, but this is the last frame right here of the HRRR model for the middle of the night, Wednesday night, and very heavy snow falling for Maine, the northern sections of the Northeast, but this dry slot starting to show up on some of the global models. But snowfall still interior Northeast. Freeze the screen if you need to. This is what's showing up, but they have dropped. Looks like they have dropped some of these snowfall totals for southern New England. You guys cannot win. Nobody in the I-95 corridor all the way to the southeast can win this year. It's like the rich keep on getting richer with this. But ice totals still look concerning. They're still going for a lot of ice in Buffalo. But I need to wrap this up, guys. That's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. And I'll be with y'all later this evening.